This is the final game, and we do have Zanbaku versus Oracle Think Tank Susanoo here. And the Susanoo does go first, riding to the Tetra Megas there. We do see the Zanbaku riding to the Arrestor, not the Glitchy Switcher there. Oh, he actually had the Glitchy Switcher now, searching the top 5 through his skill. Will he hit the Zanbaku here? He actually hit the new Zantetu, if I'm not wrong, that's the name. But I'll just refer him the Glitchy Double R for easier reference. This card is actually a very sick card that allows Zanbaku to just freely lock your opponent as well as blasting off 2 extra units. But in exchange, you do eat 1 damage, closer to lethal for the opponent. Especially for decks like Susanoo, decks that actually plays a lot of critical triggers. This might be a double-edged sword for him, but we shall see how the game will turn out. So this is gonna be a simple aggro turn, which is calling just a great one here. Swing the Vanguard this way, try checking, not a damage trigger. I mean, we do see a damage trigger there, and very fortunate for the ODT player. He does ready to the grade 2 double here. Will he be using the skill? Very likely. So he does call the Gucci Switcher here, and if he does hit the Susanoo here, it'll be very strong, but he misses the search. Very unfortunate for him, because when the OTT player does hit the CEO Amaterasu there, it will push the game so fast. So he does use the greater double R skill here, dropping the Promise Daughter. Does open the crit here, but because it's not drive checking a critical trigger, the Great Arm promo doesn't plus 10k. So it's just going to be a simple power trigger here, all to middle. Move up the Great Arm 8k, the promo. So he should be swinging it with the 8k first, I believe, to... Yep, so he does swing the 8k first, attacking the Vanguard for 5k guard. He does drop the quick shoot earlier for the quick shoot double R, so there's no quick shoot available now. He does not eat any damage trigger here. Swing with the 13k first, very interesting play. Most likely, oh, he does hit a damage trigger, and then the guards are no pass, and then the aggro turn is over. Imagine there's a skill revealed in the turn 2. It will be a very strong potential turn. He does strike to the grade 2 Awazu there. Yup. No, he's reconsidering it. So he does strike to the right Arrestor here, moving the Glitchy Switcher behind, and using the Awazu skill here, most likely to mill for the Glitchy Switcher here. Yup. So now, being that there's 2 same name on the field, the Glitchy Switcher does hit for 13k instead. Swings at the side, counter aggroing the OTT player. Vanguard swing the Vanguard. It should be a no guard here, unless a 15k for no pass. He does swing, he does guard it. No, he does no guard hit here, sorry. Does hit a damage trigger here, but a draw trigger still able to allow him to hit over a damage trigger. So a 15k guard is thrown down there. So we will see the Susanoo right here. And on place, you can see the top 2 and put one on the top of the deck, by revealing it to the opponent. He does put the deer on top, so it's a very interesting list. It's not the 8 grade 3 aggro list. This is I would say a mix of deer and Medusa, which is a turbo in a sense. But he does use the Glitchy Switcher here, but misses the Amaterasu once again. But we do see a Susanoo picked up to hand. But against a Zanbaku, you'll never be able to ride again, so it's very interesting. He does draw the protect marker there. Using the Susanoo skill here, revealing a top 2 card, we do see into another 2 more Amaterasu. Wow, this is just hard to watch for the, or rather hard to experience for the OTT player, given that you just picked up 3 grade 3 to your hand against a Zanbaku deck, which prevents you from even riding more. So this game, the Susanoo are as good as just dead grade 3s in hand. So he does commit the 2 Susanoo there, which aggroes quite perfectly well, because when boosted by the grade 1 is a 25k column each. He no guts here, twin drives into another double grade 3. Wow, that's just so dry. But unlucky for the Susanoo player here. But of course, if you are a Zanbaku player here, you are going to be very happy. But it's still 20k guard requested from both sides of the column. Most likely you'll be eating one here. He doesn't eat another damage trigger, so he will be forced to throw another 20k. Or will he be no guarding this? I believe he shouldn't. Yes, that's correct play. He should guard here because OTT does play the guard restrict card, and if you have 5, he'll just use the guard restrict and just end the game right there and then. So we do see a Zanbaku right here going to the XL2. Most likely he'll be doing the Counter Blast 3 lock, locking down the Susanoo from swinging the Vanguard. But then again, Susanoo's skill does allow you to have twin drive, so not too bad. But you know, extra twin drives always is better, but locking them down will prevent that from happening. So he does commit a grade 3 double here. Will he be using the skill aggressively? So he actually does use a skill here very aggressively, and this could be a window for the OTT player to win the game. So he does call the central and the left arrestor here, and then we will be seeing the Zanbaku skill going off to call the right arrestor to complete the full lock. So he does use the Zanbaku skill here. Superior calling the right arrestor, and the right arrestor on play skill, which is Counter Blast 2, putting one card from your hand to the soul to prevent the opponent from restanding during their standby phase. So we do see him committing the Shirayuki there to the soul. Very interesting play. I would expect him to actually keep the Shira in hand, but probably the cards in hand does have a better value. So he does swing the left arrestor first, so blasting 1. Okay, interesting play by him. He does soul charge the Shirayuki and then soul blasting it away. So that's actually a very 200 IQ move. Sorry to have not seen that move actually. Well played by him. So we do see a potential 5 attack here from the Zanbaku player. And it's actually usually very annoying to deal with because you don't want to no guard 5 times, which will end the game there. He does eat the first damage, eating a damage trigger there, very fortunate for him, because given that he just strike check 4 grade 3 in a row, we do expect a trigger to be seen now. He does guard for the no pass here, twin drives, into a double blank. So he does swing at the Vanguard and the misses, so Shirayuki is gotten back to hand. So actually he replays his move, actually swing at the Vanguard. Okay, so a misplay by him, the Rainy Madam should be in hand. Yeah, so he actually throw his 10k shield away for free like that, but luckily we do have a spectator on the table itself to actually caught this misplay. So thanks to Alex, who is the guy who actually caught the mistake. So passes turn to the Susanoo, but then can't stand due to the lockdown. Cause the guard restrict there, could this be game? But we do see a Shirayuki in hand, so and he does twin drive to a double blank. So the grade the Great Electric is not exactly hitting high numbers at all. At this point, it's only hitting for 15k guard, and 15k guard is quite cheap. He just called the Susanoo here. Sorry, Amaterasu here. Swinging the Amaterasu first at the Vanguard, using his skill to drop one card from hand, and then looking at top 3, and then you may pick up a normal unit from the top 3 to hand, and then rearrange the order of the other 2 cards. So he does drop the deer here. Picking up a Tetra Magus to hand, and there's a 15k guard requested. So does use the Cherokee straight away to minusing the power, and then Gust for the additional 5k gun. So the Garou is only hitting for 5k gun only at this point, which does not have any threat at all. He does swing at the side, but it's still potentially just a 10k gun if I'm not wrong. No, just a 5k gun, sorry. So he just let it go, and then passes the turn to the Zanbaku player. Will we be seeing a Zanbaku turn here? Or it might be too early? We do see him running to the Gucci Daba here, interesting play. So what this Gucci Daba does do is that on Vanguard Circle, all your arrestor does gain 5k. So all of them are getting a steroid boost here. And the left arrestor is hitting 24k if he does use his skill on the Excel Circle. Very interesting play. And we do see another Ready Madam caught here. And the Cherokee is in the drop zone, and we will be seeing it back to hand. He swings the Rainy Madam here at the side, which is a 10k guard. Sorry, 5k guard only. But if he does guard it, the Rainy Madam will proc the Cherokee back to hand. So power checking here, all of the arrestor are actually hitting for a huge number. Left arrestor hitting for 24, right arrestor hitting for 37, and central arrestor hitting for 29. Ouch. We do see him guarding with a grade 2 there. So Ready Madam should proc here, since the attack did miss. I believe he forgot to use the skill here. So swing the Vanguard for 12k. 15k will be a 2 pass here. Does throw a PG here. Still thinking about what to do. I believe he should guard here, at least a 15k, because if he does open a critical here, it will push him to devastating 5 damage. A lot of thinking has been done by the OTT player here because it is a crucial turn to guard, and because if he does survive, most likely he'll be able to win the game. We do see the PG committed here. Twin drive into a draw trigger here. Not a critical trigger, which could have added the game there, but you know, you can't complain about free triggers. And he does power to the left arrestor, which he will be hitting for 34k here. but he still forgot to proc his Rainy Madam. He does eat, and eats a damage trigger there. So he now remembers that the attack did not hit, and the Rainy Madam does go back to Soul and picking up the Shiryuki from hand. So kudos to the Susanoo player here to actually allow him to replay like that, because it's such a fatal misplay in my opinion. He does use the left arrestor to hit the guard restrict, because the guard restrict does have a trap potential against him. And OTT player doesn't look very healthy in terms of hand size, and he most likely had to let it go. Just let it go eventually. The central arrestor does swing the Vanguard for a 10k guard, given that he just eat a damage trigger there. Thinking very hard to guard for his turn. He just throw the 10k guard eventually with the Gemini, and does swing with the 37k column there, which is 1 damage. He does eat it, and it's at 5. Yeah, but everything can withstand, so this could be a comeback turn for him. Because he doesn't have the Zanbaku lockdown just now, so he can just ride the Susanoo here, gaining 1 extra soul. Then looking at top 2 again, but I don't think he actually hit what he wanted to see, so he must be frustrated in my opinion. But we do see a critical trigger placed on top. He does use the Susanoo skill here, counter blasting 1, soul blasting 1. Because he doesn't have a grade 3 in soul, he only can reveal 2 cards. And we do see a Tetramagus and a Psychic Bird. So well, we've been pumping the trigger here, but we do know that the opponent does have a Shiryuki as well as a Kanzen. So this is quite tricky and not looking the best for the ODT player here. He does power all the middle, most likely to force the opponent just to Kanzen the middle. You see the grade 2 Daba Chord, Tetramagus using skill to draw 1 card. He does hope to see the guy restrict here, but pull back the Psychic Bird, which he just reviewed in the previous dry check. Very unfortunate we do not see the Medusa here being played in this game, which is very important to actually soul charge to ramp up the deck actually. So either a PG was forced there, a critical trigger is pumped again. He does pump to the Amaterasu. No, Susanoo. No, Amaterasu, sorry. He does get a double critical trigger here, but most likely the Shiryuki will be able to guard this effectively. Yep, a Shiryuki is placed here. So we do see the power of Shiryuki very strong, and it has been rinsed and repeated by the Mura player here with the Rainy Madam top decks. So 15k guard was thrown there. Oh sorry, 30k, 25k guard, sorry. Another 25k guard. But because of the Shiryuki effect, just a 15k guard here. So sorry for the sudden camera jerk, because I was charging my phone. It was running out of battery soon, since this is the final game after all. So we do see a PG force here, and the Zanbaku player actually survived the turn. Will we be able to see a Zanbaku here again? Given that that's how he killed the previous game, the DI deck, Zanbaku does do well against Protect, significantly. So we do see a Zanbaku right here, gaining XL circle and drawing one, and we do see 3 XL circles on the field, which is quite rare in my opinion for Zanbaku decks. But he does final call everything, and everything will require a grade 0 to gun. This is such a strong card, especially when the opponent is at 5 damage. Now everything is hitting for above 15k or 20k, and with the guard restrict of grade 0s only, it's quite annoying. Because with the protect marker, even though in hand, he still can't throw it. Which basically means it's a dead card in hand. Let's throw for 2 pass here. Oh, he actually opens a huge damage heal here. I mean, a drive check into a heal here, and pumping power should most likely be pumping to the right arrestor, which will be hitting for a 30k guard. And that would force a lot more shields. Oh, he actually pumps to the side, which does achieve the same thing. And it's a 10k guard, but requires a grade 0 only, which is effectively a 15k guard. He does eat the 6 damage and it's game over. We do see game 2 proceeding here, and the Susanoo is going first here. And checking top 5 the skill, missing yet again. Very unfortunate for him that this final is not going well for him, and we do not get to see the turbo, how the turbo Susanoo build will work. So it's Zanbaku's turn here again, and that's right, the Great Researcher gaining a quick shoot as well. And we'll be looking at the top 5. We do see a Zanbaku there. So he's thinking about which card to take in hand. Most likely he does have the pieces in hand, but now need to determine which one is the better one here. He does get the double R here. Does swing the Vanguard like this. No guard here. A Zanbaku is found to the hand, so the threat is still there. So will we be able to see an aggressive turn 2 from coming out from the OTT player? He just try to the grade 2 double R and call the Promised Daughters to the side, using the double R skill to drop 1 card from hand and checking the top card. Does drop the deer. And we do see a Susanoo yet again. We do see a critical trigger here, which could have potentially pushed the game further. So he does swing the Promised Daughter first, which is 50k guard. And it's a damage trigger here for the Zanbaku player. And this will be a 1 pass. And does get a critical here, pushing to 3 damage, but he does open a heal, and that's such a sick luck from the Zanbaku player. Let's right to Arrestor here and calling a Central Arrestor early in the game, given that OTT can't deal with it. And he does open another heal here, effectively nullifying the aggressive turn done by the OTT player. This must have been tilting and frustrating for the OTT player, given that OTT does try to push you to 3 damage before their grade 3 right, so they could end the game right there and then. But we do see a Susanoo right here getting a protect 1, checking top 2, and what card will be placed on top. We do see a Saki Bird once again to the top deck, means guaranteed critical triggers. Does use the Susanoo skill here right away, twin driving top 2. And we do see another Promised Daughter. Most likely the crit will be pumped to the middle or this side. He does pump to the middle. And we do see a Great Researcher in hand, which he will be committing and hoping to hit the Amaterasu there. Yep, so he called the Great Researcher there. Yeah, but misses the search once again. Ouch, this is just unlucky for the OTT player. He does call the Amaterasu here from hand. Seeing the Promised Daughter first, which is a 10k guard. And the Vanguard does have a critical trigger pump to it, so it's a 22k to crit. He does eat the damage here, no damage trigger, very unfortunate for him. The Vanguard will be swinging first here, and forcing a 25k shield for a 2 pass. Twin drives into a double blank. This is just not going well for the OTT player, and does use a Amaterasu skill here, and is hitting for a 20k guard here. And picks up the Grade 2 double arm back to hand. And he does eat the damage. So what's interesting here is that I'm actually sitting at the side watching the OTT game, and I do know that on top 2 of his deck, he already plays a 4th damage shield ready to go. But what's going to be denying him that heal is what's coming. Yes, actually the self-damager. So this move done by Zanbaku player, although not intended, it actually screwed up the heal damage trigger, and this is just tilting for him in my opinion. So he does use the double skill to call the left arrestor as well as the ground arrestor, and then proceeding to use the skill of Zanbaku to call the right arrestor, I believe, to complete the full lock once again. So actually he calls the right arrestor from hand to soul charge 1 from hand to do the lock. So most likely he'll be using a Zanbaku skill to search for the grade 1 arrestor here to complete the full column. He does swing with the 17k rearguard first. Oh, he actually swings at the rearguard, sorry. And Vanguard swings there for 17k. A 20k will be a 2 pass here. The player is thinking hard how he should guard, actually chose a protect marker here. And given that he doesn't have a restand turn next turn, it's looking very bad for him, especially when you're dealing with Excel decks such as Zanbaku here. He has many attacks to deal with. It actually does open a critical trigger here, and we should be pumping to a 27k rear column, we should be hitting for 37k here. So he does swing the central arrestor here first, which is hitting for 29k. 20k card is required. He does eat the damage, and it's at 3 damage now. So he does swing the critical first, and this is where the OTT player mistook, or rather forgot that because opponent is already at 4 damage, the 4 damage shield would not proc. So I believe he actually does eat it here, thinking that he'll proc, and he does got pushed to 5, which is very unlucky for him. If I remember correctly, he is able to guard these 2 critical, so he does eat 2 damage and begin to heal, but I do stop him at the side, telling him that, you know, he has 4 damage and the heal doesn't go off. So this was actually one of the most strongest factor that happened in this game, I would say. Misplay, and that caused him to eat a new 5 against a Zanbaku, especially when you are being locked down and you can't twin drive further. This is just painful to watch. How will the OTT player actually play out the game here? Not a lot of move he can do, given that the lockdown is super strong against his time of deck. He does use the Treasure Makers to guarantee the crit here, and then using the Susanoo skill to proc the effect. So he can check the top 2 of his deck and most likely pumping the trigger to the side of the guard restrict there. But given that your Vanguard doesn't swing with a twin drive first, which could potentially open more triggers, this is just looking very sad for him. He does swing the guard restrict first, which is just a simple 20k guard, revealing a top card of his deck, which is the Amaterasu. So he opponent can only guard with normal units here. But given that he has 2 intercepts in the front row, yep, so that's what is simply guarded like this. So he does use the Amaterasu skill to bind herself, because you do not want to see that on your top deck, especially when you're expecting a 6 damage shield. So he does use the Amaterasu skill here. No, he's thinking about it. Boosting it. Using the skill here. He does swing at the center using the skill to check the top 3 to manipulate the triggers. He does get the Gemini back to hand. And a simple 15k guard only. So Zanbaku turn here again, and most likely we'll be seeing a Zanbaku right once again to seal the deal of this game. And you'll see the Zanbaku here, and just to mention it again, it's a SDR, a delete rare. So kudos to him to actually own a delete rare Zanbaku. So he does call the Zanbaku here to the Excel circle, using the Sun Tattoo skill, or whether the Great Double skill here to call the double arrestor here once again. So 2 left arrestor, most likely he ran out of right arresters. His right arrestor does give Zanbaku extra critical in the Vanguard. But with the left arrestor, it does hit 25k, which is the magic number, especially when opponent requires only Grade 0 to guard. 25k guard is asking for 30k shields, since you'll be 2 15k shields. So he does eat to a 6 damage shield, which he manipulated, but it doesn't seem to be enough, because everything is still hitting for 15k guard, and if opponent doesn't have Grade 0s to guard with, it will be an auto game over. Yeah, let's let him go for the 1 pass here. Doesn't get any trigger here, very fortunate for him. He does swing the side. Swinging the central arrestor here, which is 29k, 10k guard only. Grade 0 is used here, using the strongest power lane, which is 15k guard only, but it doesn't have Grade 0s and it's game over. Thank you for watching till the end, and do subscribe for more content such as this, and do follow me on my Twitter for decklist retweets.